we're here for. So be happy. I'm not going to say, scream it in the streets, I'm a pervert. But what I mean is, obviously, we should say, thank God that I have this challenge, because in so doing, I create tremendous delight above. And although it's a struggle, this is a good thing. It's interesting, though, that he points out that the sadness that a person has over this situation is coming out of conceit. The person is saying, I should be something that I'm really not. And, people, we meet conceited people, and we sometimes we get amused by how they can just inflate themselves and be so enamored with themselves, and it's all about themselves. We like to think that we're a little bit more refined than that. So we become enamored with the things that are bad about ourselves. And we tend to over-focus on those things. And this is what is the problem that this person that's described in the text is experiencing. It's about this sense of inflated ego. Saying, I should be such and such, and now I'm not. It's not shameful. That's what we're here for. That's how God feels. Okay, let's go to the next part. Learning activity. Okay, aren't you happy when you make it over the hurdle? Yes. Learning activity. You overlook an important commitment to attend a Shabbos dinner. Okay. Let's say you decided that from now on, I'm going to in the memory of those who perished in Mumbai, I'm now going to keep a Shabbos dinner every single week. Lo and behold, Shabbos comes in at 4:30, and you can't get out of work. You come home at 6 o'clock, nothing said, no table, no Shabbos dinner. You feel guilty. Okay. That's one experience. Let's take a look. Okay. Number 2 is, you make it home in time. Right? You rush, you get it all together, and you sit there wondering, gee, it would be so nice to go to the movies. Why am I sitting at this dinner? What did I commit myself to? That's the second thing. That person can feel shame. The person might feel shame. So, I wish I could not feel these feelings. I must be a terrible person. Right? And this is, again, both areas need to be worked on. We shouldn't indulge either one. Okay. At the end of the learning activities on page 72, it says here, at the very last paragraph, suggest an appropriate way to deal with the feelings of guilt in the first case, and an appropriate way to deal with the feelings of shame in the second case. So let's hear it from you guys, now based on everything you've said. How would you deal with guilt in an appropriate way?
Well, next Shabbos you should go to dinner. You should remember that you didn't do it, you should feel guilty, and you get shamed.
What if the guilt's just nagging? Sometimes that happens. You know what you got to do. It's nagging. What would you do then?
Well, at that point you probably just need to just somehow commit to doing it and putting it behind you.
Okay. Or say I'm going to let the nagging feelings affect me for 1 hour on Tuesday. Right now I'm not going to. Yeah.
There's another thing too, is when you make a commitment, is to commit to something realistic. And if you know that you're not going to be able to do every single Shabbos, I'm trying to do this once a month thing, please God, be more. But once a month I know I can do.
Right.
So
that's also important. Realizing what it is that you're capable of. Which really brings us to the next part, the shortcomings. Right, which brings us really to that next thing, because here a person is feeling negative feelings about something you can't change. Right? But that does spill into what you're saying, is that a person is not necessarily ready to do a commitment like Shabbos every week. So I can't do it. You just can't. But at least something that you can do. Yeah. Okay. And how would we cope with feelings of shame?
I think one way would be like she suggested, kind of like rather than striving for that perfection of every week doing it, if you know you're not capable right at this moment, to detach yourself from the feeling, like, understand you have that animal instinct, and maybe make a compromise, right?
Right.
You're striving to do better, but maybe also realizing you're not quite.
Right. I'd say yes. Yeah, I'd say that's right. I like the analogy of a person going up the ladder and a person coming down the ladder. You know, the person coming up the ladder is at the bottom, but really he's at the top. It's just a matter of time before he's actually there. The person above him is on the way down. So he's really lower. It's just a matter of time.
That's great.
It's just a matter of time. So the way we should approach all matters of growth, and even in terms of Torah and mitzvahs observance, it should be with, you know, taking the steps in an appropriate manner and knowing that what's more important is that we're getting there, okay? Not the perfection right away. You know, this is a conversation that was probably appropriate in last week's course and the course before too, class and the class before, because we're talking about the Beinoni all the time. The Beinoni is also, the translation doesn't fit. Beinoni means the guy in between the tzaddik and between the Rasha. Really, a Beinoni is not an average person. In a sense, he's not the norm. And he's not ordinary. He's very exceptional. He's the possible person. He's the person we could try, or we should strive to be, right? And is within our grasp, technically, right?
Is the person with a chisel?
With the chisel?
Yeah, because you're just going to create
A new what?
a new person.
Right.
You know? You have a block and you have your chisel.
Right.
You know?
That's right. He's the refined
But
person.
slowly.
That's right. So, you know, some people may say, well then, if I can't be the Beinoni, then what does that make me? I'm the Rasha, right? And that's terrible. So, the Rasha, again, is another word that is, when you translate it literally, it does not give the proper message. Rasha means wicked. You know? If I'm not a Beinoni, then I'm wicked. That's so terrible. What a thought, right? Really, the word wicked, in Kabbalistic literature, is not usually used. It's instead, they use a different term. It's called Sitra Achra, which we learned last week. It means the other side. There's the side of holiness, and there's things that are the other side, meaning things that are disconnected from the holiness. Now, what is holiness? God is holy. God is living, God is good. Anything connected to God is living, holy, and good. Okay? Anything that's disconnected is the opposite of that. That's all it means. Now, I'm not trying to minimize that. That's, you know, the word evil is not, you know, we usually think in terms of evil means acts of cruelty and injustice. That's the conventional sense of the term. Here we're using it in a much broader way. The definition is something that's disconnected. There are times where we disconnect from God. I think we can acknowledge that the reason we came to this class in the first place is to learn how to be more connected to God. So the idea is a Rasha is not a wicked person. A Rasha is someone who is disconnected in some shape or form.
What would be the roots in Hebrew? Like if you could, because I know sometimes words actually meant something else and became, right?
Right.
So Rasha.
Rasha.
Ra is bad.
Ra is bad, and the shin somehow falls in the middle. Ra means evil, right? But again, I can't fully answer your question. You know, the way I know which direction you're going. I can't fully answer. I don't know that much about the source of the word. Yeah. But that's the idea. When we call ourselves Rasha, it just means that we haven't fully connected in every shape and form. It's something that it's a process. We're not evil in the sense that most people think. Okay? So that's another important thing to keep in mind. We don't talk about Tzaddik, Rasha, Beinoni in this class. We talk about the Superman. We talk about the possible man. We talk about disconnected person, whatever level of disconnection there might be. Some people are more disconnected than others, but you know, we're all seeking more connection and more connection. That's what it's about. Okay. All right, let's look at learning activity number 2, page 73.
I just want to say, what would be the best way to respond to yourself when you catch yourself daydreaming about going out with friends during the Shabbos service? You know, I'm davening and I realize I've been spending the last 6 minutes thinking about nothing but, you know, what I'm going to wear, you know, out that evening or whatever.
Okay. Well, okay. The Alter Rebbe paints this picture in Tanya in another part. He says, imagine you're davening, and somebody comes over to you in the middle of davening and deliberately tries to interrupt you. So it's just babbling, you know.